Welcome to this Google Hangout with Vanderbilt's Office of Undergraduate Admissions. My name is Annalise Miyashiro, and I'm one of the admissions counselors here at Vanderbilt. Today we're going to talk to current students about diversity and community on campus. So remember that you can always contact your admissions counselor via our admissions.vanderbilt.edu page, as well as contact any current students if you have any follow-up questions. So we're going to start by having the students introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Ronnie.
Hey guys, my name is Ronnie Panjaria. I'm a senior in the College of Arts and Science. I'm double majoring in creative writing and physics, and I'm from Beirut, Lebanon.
Hi guys, my name is Carly Stewart. I'm a junior from Chicago, Illinois. I'm in the College of Arts and Science, and I'm double majoring in psychology and medicine, health, and society.
Hey guys, my name is Pranjal Gupta. I'm from Auburn, Alabama, studying chemical engineering in the School of Engineering.
Hello, my name is Morgan Franklin, and I'm a senior in the College of Arts and Science with a Communication Studies major from Zion, Illinois.
What's going on, guys? My name's Samuel McDaniel. I'm a senior in the College of Peabody College, studying human organizational development with the minor in corporate strategy.
All right, awesome. So your first question is, what was it like moving into the Martha Rivers Ingram Commons with 1,600 other first-year students from around the country and around the world?
Yeah, this was my favorite part ever. I think move-in day here at Vanderbilt is very special to everybody because we have a lot of upperclassmen come back and move in the first years as a volunteer. But for me in particular, it was interesting because I did a random roommate selection, which allowed me to have a roommate from China, from Wenzhou, China, and her name was Snow Gong. She was a very petite education major in the Peabody College. And believe it or not, we got along amazingly well despite my mother's worries. She not only knew Chinese and English, but she also knew Spanish, and in fact, she tutored me throughout the semester. So it was very exciting for me to be able to connect with her culturally, politically differently, just to really see the ways in which, despite our national background, we could really come together and anchor down for the Commodore. So that was amazing for me as a first year.
Yeah, I guess I have an experience that's maybe on the other side of the coin of that. I'd never been to the States before I moved into my dorm. And so August 15th, 2012, I really hopped off the plane. Someone who worked for Vandy helped me move into my dorm. I packed my entire life into 2 suitcases, and it was probably one of the most intimidating things I'd ever done in my life. And I think when I walked into my room, I looked at the bare wall. My roommate hadn't moved in yet. I just put my suitcases on the ground, and I was like, I very audibly said, "What have I done?" I was very, very intimidated by the prospect of being so far away from home for so long. And I really didn't know what to expect interacting with people who I was under the assumption were going to be very, very different from me. So I moved in a couple of days before everyone else because I was an international student. And then when all the American students moved in, that very first night, after move-in day, my RA, my resident advisor, I was living in one of the Commons houses. We were 34 guys on my floor. He sat us down, the 34 of us, in the common area and sat in a circle. And he said, "All right, guys, I want you guys to go down the line and each give me a brief history of your lives." And I was near the end of the line, so I got to hear a lot of guys speak first. But with every story that was being shared and with every guy that spoke, more and more I realized that I wasn't going to be the odd one out because I trekked across the Atlantic. A very legitimate fear for me coming to America was being reduced to a set of labels or being reduced to maybe an ambassador of my culture or my heritage, or the fact that I grew up in a multi-religious household, or the fact that there's a lot of political turmoil in the region that I grew up in, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't really know how I would broach that, or how I would broach my identity, really, with the people that I was living with and learning with. And so I really realized that first night living on the Commons, that very first night, that the Commons was going to be a space that really allowed for personal and cultural exchange without really any of the labels that define me or that define you. If you and I look very different from one another, or if you and I think about the world in very different ways, really none of the labels that define us are going to color our exchange. And for a 17-and-a-half-year-old from all the way across the Atlantic, that was simultaneously earth-shattering and also life-affirming. I realized that I could be whoever I wanted to be. And in the process, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the people around me, but I also learned a lot about myself. And I think if nothing at all, if you learn nothing at all in college, just learning to appreciate and value the differences in the people that are living with you, I think that's the one thing that you should come out of college with. And without a doubt, I think my Commons experience has really fostered that in me.
Going along with that, like Ronnie said, you learn not only a lot about yourself, but a lot from other people. I think my Commons experience really showed me that here at Vanderbilt, I've learned just as much from my peers as I have from my teachers. I grew up in a smaller suburb of Chicago, so a really kind of conservative town, and looking back on that now that I've been here at Vanderbilt, I see that I was kind of sheltered. And just being able to talk to so many people from around the country and around the globe, you really just get this new perspective and just learn so many new things and really do learn how to appreciate so many things about other people, especially their culture. I worked with Ronnie 40 hours a week this summer, and just hearing all the stories he was able to tell about what it was like growing up in Lebanon in a war-ridden zone in his multi-religious household was just an incredible experience, and you learn so much, like Ronnie said, about yourself. And then just kind of a fun fact about Commons, right now this year they have one of those big shipping containers, and they spray painted it gold, and they're calling it a portal. If you go into the portal, there's a computer system set up with Skype, and there's a twin portal in Mexico City where somebody else in Mexico City is in there, and you can have a live one-to-one conversation with someone from thousands of miles away, which is just really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what kind of cultural resources or organizations are you all involved in on campus?
So I can speak a little bit about this. I have personally gotten involved in two organizations. One is the South Asian Cultural Exchange, which is an organization dedicated towards sharing and exchanging the South Asian culture. And then also I've gotten involved in the Multicultural Leadership Council, which is sort of like an umbrella organization for 27 different cultural organizations. And so one of the most memorable events that has happened in my college career is an event called Diwali. Diwali on our campus is a celebration of a traditional Indian holiday, a festival of lights and good over evil. And how we celebrate it on campus is a big cultural showcase filled with dance, songs, and performances. And so the South Asian Cultural Exchange recruits, this year it was 300 students to come and learn South Asian dances and skits and songs. We have upperclassmen teaching the underclassmen how to do these types of dances, so no dance experience is necessary at all.
I'm in it.
Yeah, she's in it. And then we perform in front of a crowd of 1,000 people. And so I think one of the coolest things about this showcase is that last year, over 75% of our dancers were not South Asian, meaning that 75% of our dancers out of 300 were willing to come and learn about a culture that they hadn't been exposed to, dedicate 4 hours a week to dancing and practicing the dance, and then put on a showcase in front of 1,000 people. So I've done it all 4 years, and it's just been a mind-blowing experience to see how many students are willing to lower their sort of guard of hesitation and try a new culture, step out of their comfort zone.
I know for me, I work in the Office of Wellness Programs on campus, and it's really awesome because although we are housed in the Dean of Students, we get to work with a lot of different organizations, including our Office of LGBTQI Life at the KCPC, which is the on-campus resource center. And we also do a lot of partnerships with the Women's Center. And in a few short weeks, we're actually having a Monsters and Mocktails event, which is where we will have different people from all over campus and different cultural organizations come together to celebrate Halloween with mocktails and food and camaraderie and fun and games. So it's just a really awesome environment to really appreciate the different cultural diversity and the other types of diversity on campus that you can really embrace with one another in a really homey setting with tons of great and delicious food, which is a great way to always get college kids to show up to events.
One of the organizations I'm part of is my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So here at Vanderbilt, we're fortunate enough to have a pretty big Greek system. You don't have to be a part of it to fit in, but it's an option that students from all backgrounds can join and feel comfortable doing. So my fraternity is part of the National Panhellenic Council, which is the Divine Nine. We have 7 of those fraternity and sororities here on campus. And that's just been a great resource for me to reach out to the community, to We're lucky enough to be in Nashville, so we have 3 black colleges around the area: Fisk, Meharry, which is a medical dental school, and then Tennessee State University. And that's just been a great experience for me, and then also other members of other fraternities and sororities to connect with their fraternity and sorority brothers and sisters, outside of Vanderbilt. So that's one of the great things. You just have the whole city to experience a cultural, diversity.
I know a lot of the diversity groups I'm involved with kind of surrounded around the diversity of those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I was super involved in high school in an organization called Best Buddies, where you get paired one-to-one with a student with intellectual disabilities, and you're just kind of their friend, and you hang out with them, and it's so amazing. But here at Vanderbilt, we also have a program called Next Steps. We're one of the only colleges in the nation that has actually an academic program for students with disabilities. So at any given time, we have 12 students here on campus who take classes. They get to take a Vanderbilt class. They also get to take kind of life skills classes and things like that. And it just really, I think, rounds out our community.
Awesome. So the final question, what would you say to prospective students who are concerned about inclusivity at Vanderbilt?
Great question, Annalise.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start. Especially as a freshman, there's just so many memories I have looking back. Thinking about it, I think it was maybe the first day when we moved in. The Black Student Alliance had like a cup in our rooms, just kind of to welcome. I can only talk about me, my personal experience, but to welcome the Black students to campus. And it was just great, to see faces that looked like you around campus and actually like happy to be there. As I've gotten older, I've started to see like a lot of other resources that we have. Specifically, Project I Am is one of the biggest like university initiatives that we've started up to address this problem of just having a very inclusive Vanderbilt community. They have a mentoring program which is very strong. At the interview to be a mentor. That's just how serious we are. Like, I was here thinking, okay, I can get lunch with somebody and talk to them about problems, but we really take it serious here. It's a very rigorous process that we need to, really, address. And I'm very fortunate and excited to meet my freshman mentee, as well as we have other clubs like the NAACP. We have something called Hidden Doors, which has committees that address certain groups on campus to help them feel more inclusive and part of the community. So Vanderbilt in my 4 years has made many steps towards becoming a great inclusive environment.
I know that when I came to college, I've always been very proud of my culture, and when I came to college, I knew that I wanted to find communities and find people that I could express that culture with, and immediately with the cultural organizations we have on campus, I found that sense of inclusivity. But I think what's even more important, and I touched upon this a little bit when I was talking about Diwali, is that what I've noticed is that students here just don't hesitate to get out of their comfort zone. So whether that means students stepping out of the comfort zone to try dancing in a new culture, or even just going to a panel discussion about some of the challenges that a minority student faces in modern society, I've just really been so impressed at the fact that all of my friends, regardless of what background we come from, are willing to come to these events, have tough discussions, whether it's in our hall or in our classes, and really get a sense of perspective. I've really appreciated that, and I've definitely felt over the past 3.5 years an awesome sense of community.
I think I would probably just tell students who are worried about that it is normal and that's expected. All of us on this panel probably felt a little uneasy coming into Vanderbilt, leaving home. I don't think any of us are I know none of us are from Tennessee. So it is a nerve-wracking experience, and it's definitely something that makes you take a step back and really think about what's important to you, religiously, culturally, spiritually. But coming here, you are amongst thousands of other students who feel very similarly, and that makes the transition all the more easy, just because you have those people to support you and to go along this process with you throughout the next 4 years to make sure you really step out of your comfort zone, embrace the fears that you have, and just really find a place to fit in and find a place of comfort and of respect and camaraderie here.
Yeah, I
Go
definitely.
ahead,
Oh,
Ronnie.
oh, thank you. I definitely agree with that. I think I'm going to get sappy for a second because I'm a creative writing major and we thrive on sappiness. But I tend to think of people as stories. And just to sort of harken back to the story I was telling you guys about my first night on the Commons, that very first night I realized that there were 34 very unique and very individual stories on my hall that needed to be shared, and I needed to read those 34 stories. Subsequently, I realized that there were 1,600 stories on the Commons that needed to be shared, and I needed to share my stories 1,600 times. And that, I think, is the success. In that, I think, is the success of the Commons experience, and subsequently the Vanderbilt experience is you realize that diversity comes in many different shapes and forms and colors and experience and outlooks and perspectives and all of those things. And I think I really, really, with so much conviction, can say that this is a space that celebrates all those different dimensions of diversity, whether it's ethnic or racial diversity, whether it's gender or sexuality diversity, religious diversity, cultural diversity, et cetera, et cetera. All of those different dimensions have spaces on campus where they're celebrated, but also I can say from my experience that the general campus feel is a feel where people are comfortable sort of proclaiming their diversity identities, I guess, and it's a space where there's a lot of exchange that can happen if you want it to happen.
And it's exciting. While it's so normal to be worried, and you can be excited at the same time. There's over 550 different student organizations here that span all forms of diversity. Get excited. You're going to be able to find your place here. The problem you'll probably run into is that you have so many different things you want to join that your problem is going to be choosing which one you want to be involved in.
That's the truth.
Oh, sorry. And going with Carly, I mean, if you can't find one, create one. So that's one of the special things we have. You could craft your own experience here.
Well, thank you guys so much for participating in this Google Hangout. Remember, for those of you who are watching, if you have any questions or you want to reach out to an admissions counselor or current student, just visit our website at admissions.vanderbilt.edu. We also have a lot of really great resources if you're wondering about what kinds of organizations and resources that we have on campus for all different types of diversity and for all different types of students. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.